In this video today, we're going to go over wearing the wrong equipment for powerlifting competitions. So make sure you don't make these mistakes when it comes to your powerlifting competition. So as always, let's get right into the video. Alrighty, what's going on, my powerlifting people? I hope you all are having a good day and a good start to your week out there. And for those of you who are new to this channel and you don't know who I am, my name is Venmo Khamesi. I'm a powerlifting coach, athlete, referee, and meet director, so I make videos here in this channel to help out those groups of people. In this video today, we're going to build upon our powerlifting mistakes playlist. So if you haven't seen that playlist, I'll put the card for it above and I'll put it down in the description below so you can go see all the videos I have going over powerlifting mistakes. But in this video in the series, we're going to go over competition approved equipment, since a lot of beginner lifters and sometimes some intermediate lifters will bring the wrong equipment to powerlifting competitions. Depending on what federation you're competing in, what division, raw with wraps, single ply, multiply, and what level of competition it is, there's going to be different rules as far as what equipment is allowed. So oftentimes for beginner powerlifters, when they're coming doing their first competition, they may have not looked at the rule book, they may have not known what equipment is allowed for which division, and sometimes they'll come with, wraps for the raw with knee sleeves division. They may come with, belts that are too wide or have padding that's not allowed. And sometimes they don't even come with singlets, since they don't know that they have to wear singlets for a powerlifting competition. And one of the bigger mistakes on the men's side, which is a mistake I made for my first couple of competitions, is when it comes to the underwear rules. So they used to have it where you couldn't have any legs on your underwear. So, I didn't have any tighty whities, and I'd go to my first powerlifting competition with boxers, like most guys just wearing boxers. And then you go to weigh-ins and you're supposed to weigh in your underwear, and the referee says, oh, you're not allowed to wear that underwear. So for my first two powerlifting competitions, actually I had the wrong underwear when I came to the competition. It wasn't where I lived, so I was, stuck there. And so I actually went commando, which is against the rules in the USAPL, but I did it anyways, and they didn't notice or anything like that until eventually I got the proper underwear. So what I tell lifters nowadays, with the rules changed a little bit, is one, make sure it's not compressive, and two, make sure the legs are not so long that it sticks out from underneath the singlet. If you're doing your squat, bench press, and deadlift, and the underwear stays underneath, and it's cotton or maybe a little bit of spandex in there, you're going to be fine. But a lot of lifters, especially on the male side, have the incorrect underwear, and then when they go to weigh-ins, then they find out, oh, I can't wear that underwear in the competition. Or even worse, you may go out there and do your first squat, and the referee sees your boxer sticking out from under your singlet, and after your first squat, they tell you, oh, you can't wear that underwear, and now you got to figure out what you got to do when you have your second attempt and the rest of your lift still coming up. And I've seen this mistake happen as a meet director before, not only with the underwear, but with other things. For example, one time at a competition, I'm looking at the warm-up room and I'm seeing someone in a t-shirt and shorts, and I don't even think it was a proper t-shirt as well. So I went over to them and asked them, like, hey, are you competing? Like, are you entered in this competition? And they said yes, and they didn't know that they had to have a singlet for a powerlifting competition. So obviously they didn't read the rule book, they didn't look at any of my emails, and they just showed up. And I think maybe they had like a long sleeve shirt or something that wasn't approved. But fortunately for them, at that gym, we were selling the meat t-shirt obviously, but also they had singlets for sale. So the lifter was able to buy the meat t-shirt to get the proper t-shirt, and then buy the gym singlet to have the proper singlet so they can actually compete. But if you're at maybe a hotel or some other venue where they don't have singlets, then you're kind of like screwed. You have to find someone maybe to borrow, but if they're in the same session as you, it's gonna be hard to switch a singlet back and forth. And oftentimes, sporting goods stores won't have them because, they might only be for wrestling or maybe some other sports, and they may not be carrying them. So then you're kind of screwed. You don't have a singlet and you can't compete. So you have to make sure you read the rule book for your federation, go look at the list for equipment and see what equipment has to be mandatory to compete in the sport, and then what equipment is allowed for the specific division you're competing in. Again, if you're doing raw with wrap, single ply, or multiply. In addition, if you're competing in an IPF meet or an IPF affiliate, you have to see the rules regarding the IPF Approved List. So for example, here in USAPL, for a local competition, it doesn't have to be on the IPF Approved List. As long as the equipment matches the technical specifications as far as, the width, the thickness, the material, all that kinds of stuff, then you are good to go. But once you go to a higher level competition, like let's say the national championship, then it has to specifically be listed on the IPF Approved List for you to wear it. And when you go to higher level meets like, the IPF Continental Championships or an IPF World Championships, then again, it has to be specifically listed on the IPF Approved List for you to wear when it comes to singlets, knee sleeves, wrist wraps, belts, and that kind of stuff. And when it comes to the single ply side of things, when it comes to the squat suit, the bench shirt, the deadlift suit, they have to be on the IPF Approved List regardless of the level of competition. So when it comes to the basics of a powerlifting competition, make sure you have your indoor sports shoes, your long socks for deadlift, make sure you have a t-shirt, make sure you have underwear, and of course, make sure you have your singlet so you can actually compete. If you want to wear knee sleeves, make sure you have proper knee sleeves, these non-supportive neoprene knee sleeves, not any kind of knee wraps or any kind of things with Velcro on them, just these regular slide-on, non-supportive neoprene knee sleeves. And then again, depending on level, make sure they're IPF approved or they meet at least the technical specifications as far as the length, the thickness, and all that kind of stuff. If instead you want to compete in raw with wraps or single ply or multiply, make sure again you have knee wraps that are the proper length, whether you need to have them 2 meters, 2.5 meters, or 3 meters, depending on what federation you're competing in. Same thing when it comes to wrist wraps. They're allowed for all the different divisions. Just make sure they're the proper length as far as 1 meter maximum length, the thickness, all that kinds of stuff. And then again, make sure they're IPF approved if you're doing a competition where it's mandatory, or just meeting the specifications if you're doing a local competition that just allows it to meet technical specifications like USAPL. Another common mistake is going to be the belts. You want to make sure you have the right belt as far as the width, the thickness, all that kind of stuff, since oftentimes people show up to competitions with an illegally wide belt, like those bodybuilding belts, or even with the padding on the inside that's not going to be allowed. And then of course, if you're going to do the higher level competitions, you're going to want to make sure that it's specifically listed on the IPF Approved List. And we're not going to toss the belt because we're going to respect the belt. And as I said earlier in the video, I have a whole series going over powerlifting mistakes. So if you missed out on that, you can click right here and go to my powerlifting mistakes playlist to see all those other videos. And if you want to learn more about equipment, let's say you don't have any equipment or you have the wrong equipment, then you can check out my powerlifting budget playlist right here, where I go over what you can get as far as equipment that it will be your best bang for your buck. But on that, hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.